Young Women's Freedom Center is a radical place where we put those most impacted by harm and violence in positions of leadership. We don't leave folks where they're at. We meet them and we take them with us. We build them up. We game each other up on political education, community resources, so that we can create transformative change.
So it was originally a group of providers that came together in San Francisco that were looking at the landscape of how young girls and queer youth were surviving the streets of San Francisco. It was 1993, so it was at the height of the AIDS epidemic. The war on drugs, crack was happening. And so they were looking at about less than 1% of funding went to girl serving organizations. And so they were doing research behind it, and they eventually started a Street Survival Project, what was the original name of the Young Women's Freedom Center. This original kind of 5 people that started the organization, they hired and trained young people to do this community outreach, health, wellness, and eventually the person that was doing the research, she found out these folks are brilliant. They've been living and surviving and taking care of themselves. They figured out how to create their own economy, created housing, families for themselves, everything in the midst of like this kind of destruction that was kind of happening and wreaking havoc inside of the community.
Our mission at Young Women's Freedom Center is to empower and inspire those most impacted by incarceration, group homes, foster care, poverty, underground street economy, domestic violence, gender-based violence. And why it's so crucial to have Young Women's Freedom Center in the Bay Area is because we're building the next generation of leaders.
Some of the challenges that young women and trans people experience inside of the community is, I think there's a journey for a search for home at times. And like what that means when you're living somewhere with skyscrapers, like the wealth disparity being so prominent and invisible in your face, you know, it's hard to have the ability to dream sometimes and say, I see myself here. I see myself at this storefront to have this business or to live here or whatever it is. So I think those are some of the challenges that people face. The first system that I entered in as a young person was the foster care system. And really quickly, I entered into the juvenile justice system, which is something that happens for a lot of folks. And so being on the inside, you know, I had learned to condition myself to learn how to do time.
Young Women's Freedom Center invests in the root causes of poverty. That's what causes our folks to be incarcerated. And more than half of our folks are in there for crimes of survival. So we want to address having access to meaningful employment that provides a quality of life, access to education. So with our economic opportunities through our programs and our job training programs, we're alleviating that barrier. And then we also invest in decolonizing our minds through discussions about power, love, and the historical social movements, the Black Panther 10-point program that can spark a seed into someone's mind to start their own. I would say being system impacted, having my parents be involved in the underground street economy and raised by my grandma, I would say that it gave me a sense of empowerment to know that I wasn't alone and that we don't have to allow this to continue to harm generations forward, and that community can be the answer to oppression and discrimination. And it also has built my leadership and my voice. It has changed the way that I looked at myself and my story, my upbringing, my experiences, and how I can use it to empower others.
I think that being surrounded with a community, you know, even when things are hard or whatever it is, we want to like come in and swoop in and protect and save and all the things. And it's like, it's not the saving that folks need. They need the access, the opportunity, all of those things to be able to thrive inside of their life. And they need to be able to fumble and fall and make their mistakes. And they need to be able to know that we're here regardless to kind of catch you. Young people deserve the ability to be able to dream and have alternatives to incarceration that actually shift the trajectory of their lives and not make a pathway to more incarceration.